11 days to election 2020. Hello and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapita CBD. Now, some youth in the Electoral constituency are speaking out against exploitation by politicians who use them to create chaos during elections. Together with the Ujura Traditional Council headed by Nimfahini Nana Ose Kojo and Siabe II, they have started what they call a door-to-door flashpoint sensitization. With 975 hotspots, the Ashanti region, a stronghold of the governing New Patriotic Party, tops the list in the country. And Sheriff FM's Malik Uku has our report for the series Safety for My Vote.
Leader of the youth group, Abubakar Sadiq, said they are moving from door to door, involving information centers and community-based radio stations to campaign for peace. They're also feeding the police with viable information for prompt action.
We as young people are very worried whenever the name of our constituency gets in the news for bad reasons. We would like to show the world that elections are not a matter of war. So if someone belongs to Party A and the other person belongs to Party B, it doesn't amount to creating violence. It's about sharing ideas and supporting the police. Our utmost responsibility has to do with providing them with a lot of information.
Some 50 flashpoints have been identified in the Ujura constituency in the run-up to the December 7 election. As part of activities to curb violence in the constituency, a peace walk was organized in the area with the youth in active participation. Speaking on behalf of the Traditional Council, Nana Kojo said there have been several meetings with the police, political leaders and other stakeholders to douse the flashpoint scare.
I'm happy it's being organized by the youth, because at the end of the day, you don't expect that I will carry a club or a machete or maybe a stone. It is the youth who are going to be organized. So I always want to plead, I say plead, that for their own sake and for the sake of their country, they should stay calm, exercise their responsibilities, exercise their duties as a civic citizen, but please, devoid of violence and insults. So we call on the leadership, political leadership, yes, talk to them, yes, convince them, but don't misuse them.
Meanwhile, the police say security has been beefed up in the area ahead of the December polls. Municipal Police Commander DSP Philip Kojo Hammond says other exercises are ongoing to allay fears.
Because it's a flashpoint, we are firmly on the ground, together with the sister security services like prisons, fire, immigration, customs, and then military. They are going to augment our strength so that we'll be able to face the task ahead of us.
The Ujura seat is among 3 constituencies in the Ashanti region currently occupied by the opposition NDC. The others are Sawase and Central Front Plains.
Now, President Akufo-Addo says it is shocking that former President John Mahama is laying claim to the implementation of the Free Sina High program. He cited claims by the former president at a rally in the Upper West region that he started the program with the construction of the E-blocks. President Akufo-Addo, in an interaction with traders at Manam, Odoko and Agboboloshi, all in the Greater Accra region, described Mr. Mahama's claim as outright lies and deceit made to revive his uninspiring campaign.
Because me need free SHS bebado. Okase me dada Ghana for some guy. Se me dey vote in America sa. Na kra ebe di be 20 years as a Ghana for the aye. And say also 2 billion cedis are not offering to school fees. Or the baby be papa. And then also no they free SHS no buy. Hey! And yet fair. So my penny dada because all they are trolling dada and the baby free you can say no. You be man going. You be man going.
Now, the opposition National Democratic Congress is questioning the competence of the Electoral Commission to transmit and announce the results of the presidential elections 24 hours after the polls, as announced by the Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Sebra Kweku. In a recent interview, Dr. Sebra, in an interview with Mama Vio Usabajo on the AIM show last week, said the EC will ensure that results of the 2020 December polls are released 24 hours after voting closes. But Director of Elections for the NDC, Alvis Afriya Ankara, at a news conference on Wednesday, said his party doubts that this is possible.
EC earlier on announced that the result of the elections will be announced by the 10th of December. How many of you remember? In another dramatic departure from this announcement, Dr. Sribo Kwaku subsequently announced on the 18th of November that the results will be declared by close of day on 8th December, barely 24 hours after close of polls. Ordinarily, somebody, well, if they finish the elections earlier and you declare, what's wrong with that? But you see, therein lies the problem. What is the basis for this claim? What mechanisms and structures and systems and processes have you put in place to ensure that this claim that you are making, you'll be able to meet it without having any problems? How does it work in practical terms? Because it's a process. Elections are declared at the polling station. Those results move from the polling station to the Constituency Collation Center. From the Constituency Collation Center, you have now created another layer, you claim, at the regional level. Then from the regional level, it will now go to the national level. And especially for the presidential ballot, the Electoral Commissioner herself is supposed to be the chief returning officer. Now, at every constituency, before a presiding officer will declare that Akwesi or Ajwa has won in a constituency, that returning officer must be able to see all the results, certified results, each one of them, from every polling station, and then say, this person has won. By this process, is she telling her that she's going to see every single result from all the 275 constituencies before she declares, she makes a declaration? Can't we see the danger here? Is she going to rely on only 16 regions? So you see, they are creating another unrealistic expectation. And then when the day comes and by that time they are not able to, what would they do? Are they going to force numbers? Are they going to cook numbers? Are they just going to announce any other thing at all just because they want to meet an unrealistic 24-hour timeline? Who forced them?
Parliamentary candidate for the Navrongo Central Constituency of the Upper East Region, Samson Tangombu Shiraga, says he is poised for victory in the December polls, while admitting that he does not underestimate his main contender from the NPP. Mr. Shiraga believes that he's better placed to represent the people of Navrongo Central Parliament because of his long years of service to the people and also because he has a better political record. Correspondent Albert Sori had an exclusive interview with him, and here's his reports.
Samson Tangombu Chiragia is a 54-year-old tax auditor and administrator. He is an old student of the Navrongo Senior High School as well as the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
I read physics for my first degree. I went to JIMPA 99. I did a course in project planning and management. Then I did my master's in finance, MBA in finance. Then qualified as a chartered accountant, ACCA 2016. I became a member of the ACCA 2018. Like I went to UK, I did international tax and transfer pricing.
But for him, it is not just his colorful educational background that makes him suitable for the job of Member of Parliament for Navrongo Central. Rather, he believes it is his rich experience in local politics and his understanding of the needs of the people of Navrongo that will give him the edge ahead of his political opponents.
When I started as a youth organizer, then looking at the queue, because I was there at the time, and then myself, and then became a regional youth organizer, I actually believe that one day I should also contribute to my quota because I started and I know the problems of the people. So why don't you one day try to become a leader and see how best you can help develop the area? And that even made me to contest the primaries 2011 against Makoyongo. At the time he was a regional minister. At the time, imagine a young man at the time around the 40s or trying to contest the regional minister primaries, where I even got 40%.
So, what are his plans for the Navrongo Central Constituency if given the nod to become the Member of Parliament?
Because where we are getting to, it is not only through the pen that we should live. People should learn other things. Navrongo is fast developing. You are looking for a plumber, it will take you 2 days to get a plumber. People are not still aware of such areas. Electricians, wiring of a house, plumbing work, and others. I think we need to encourage people to go into those sectors so that they can get from their livelihood. Yes. Then the education project. Our president, our flag bearer, started a farmer service center. We should be able to give farmers small-scale loan assistance and all that. When I come, I will encourage, I'll make sure that we try to, with my president there, we should be able to complete that structure. It's there, we started, but because we lost power, we lost all. They've not continued, so when we come, we're building. We don't have medical doctors here, even though we are one of the oldest hospitals. Formerly, we used to have medical doctors here. We have the research center here, but the hospital, the War Memorial, is a mess. We don't have. The 2 doctors who come and go, it's a serious matter here. Mostly, we have to run to Tamale or other private hospitals for health services. And this is just very simple. Some of us would know what to do. Probably, I think, not that they don't want to work, but we need to give them an extra mile by giving them some few incentives that will encourage medical doctors to stay here.
Joy News has also been speaking with some of Samson Tangombu Chiragia's supporters in Navrongo to find out why he will be their choice.
At first, they used to say it's only if you are not able to go to school that you go to learn your handwork. But now we want to prove them wrong. So the NDC people are trying to help us build that bridge. So that's why we want to vote them into power to help us.
And I'm voting for John Mama and Samson Tangombu. The reason is that when John Mama was in power, the young guys, they were getting jobs and things were going normal for them. But this current administration, things are not going well.
I've changed my mind. I'm voting for NDC so that we, the tellers, we are going forward. So we, the tellers, we will have our place where we will sit and we will take care of our family.
Samson Tangombu Chiragia's main opponent in this election is Tangoba Abayage, the current Upper East Regional Minister and parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party. So, what does Mr. Chiragia think about this opponent?
I've been a regional youth organizer. She's never been. I've campaigned for the parliamentary candidate for so many 10 years. She has never done that. I've been a constituency youth organizer. And she just came from this as the regional minister and she's contesting me. So as for that one, yeah, she's new. But the Navrongo wise, I'm very old and I'm somebody everybody knows. Because she's a regional minister and she controls all the districts, and then because of that, then he's awarding contracts here and there. He has money. I know we are giving her a very big margin, even though she's trying to buy. She's giving money here and there, motorbikes, tailors, and everything. I'm thinking that the Navrongo is above that.
Samson Tangombu Chiragia says he is very confident of winning the Navrongo Central Parliamentary election come December 7. Stay tuned to Joy News as we bring you another exclusive with Tangoba Abayage, the MPP's parliamentary candidate for Navrongo Central, in subsequent bulletins. Albert Sori, Joy News, Navrongo.
Away from that, the NIIT Open Labs robotic club, Soluotech, has invented what it calls Ghana's first smart farm. The laboratory says this is a major technological innovation created to solve the problems of irrigation, lighting, and intruding. NIIT Open Lab Ghana is an IT institution that trains youth from all over Africa in various IT programs. Judith Awachotando has more in this report.
At an exhibition, the public relations officer of Soluotech, Jane Love, demonstrated how the prototype works in providing irrigation, warding off intruders, and lighting up farms. According to her, Soluotech wants to put a stop to the export of agricultural produce that can be equally grown here in Ghana and around the continent.
So actually, we have what we call moisture sensors that are inside the soil. Of course, this is a prototype, so it's tiny, but there are larger moisture sensors in real life you can use. They are inside the soil, regulating the moisture in the soil. So each plot of plant has its own moisture sensor. For the intruder, we have a PIR, infrared detector. What it does, it detects living things that approach your farm. And then for the lighting, that one is not really practical use, but it's like, okay, in the nighttime I want to work, but I don't really want to pay much bills on electricity. I can have backup lights, which come on automatically when it's nighttime. So for once, we want to make the agriculture industry better, because one of the reasons why Africa is in debt is we keep importing things we can grow ourselves.
Although agriculture has many challenges, Soluotech also seeks to prevent natural calamities. President of the club, Bajam Fesi, explained how robotics can go a long way to solve the problems of flooding and fire outbreaks, which have been some of Ghana's biggest problems.
Other things as well, like flood detectors. We know that nowadays climate change, there's a disturbance. Sometimes it rains a lot, sometimes it rains lesser. So we can at least be able to place sensors where to indicate that, okay, the level of the water is going up, there will be a risk of flooding. So we can at least take measures for that.
In an interview with Joy News, Nima Divisional Commander ACP Abraham Akwe said that if such innovations were supported, disasters like the Odona Market fire outbreak and other major floods in Ghana could be prevented.
I have gone around and also had an encounter with the designs that they have made, the prototype, and I think if they are well advanced or well captured, they will be able to solve some of our problems.
Prototypes displayed at the exhibition were the Smart Farm, Visually Impaired Aid, Smart Parking, 360-degree rotation car, lie detector, smart dustbin, heart monitoring, push-up counter, smart home, flood detection system, gas detector, and the Bluetooth-enabled car. Judith Awachotando for Joy News.
And that's it for the AM News. But before I leave, about 800 primary and junior high schools in 11 districts across the northern parts of Ghana have benefited from the Impact International Discovery Learning Project. The Impacted project has provided intensive training for after-school girls and boys clubs. The initiative is to improve the quality of education in Ghana to improve access to education and life opportunities for females in northern Ghana. Martina Bugri has the rest of the story.
Who started in 2014 has been implemented by Impact Edge International with support from the UK aid through the Girls Education Challenge and in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service. Speaking at the Discovery Project Learning Dissemination event in Tamale, the Ghana Director of Impact Edge International, Julius Agboku, said the project has made a lot of impact in most of the schools.
So as mentioned, we have 800 schools. We've also worked with 448 girls class, as I speak, very active class. We have 4,983 teachers trained in gender pedagogy, classroom practices, ICT education. We have 365 girls reach in the project schools. As we speak, we have about 4,000 TV audience reach through our My Better World broadcast, which is currently ongoing on Tupani TV. We've worked with 4,010 community and school leaders, and also we have 12,029 learners in remedial literacy classes currently. A total of 216,000 learners benefiting from these remedial classes.
A head teacher, Catherine Seidu, and a teacher, Samuel Dadie, both shared their experience on the project.
The use of videos in the classroom provided an innovative way of improvisation during the preparation of teaching and learning resources. Not only did the use of video in lesson save time during preparation of teaching and learning resources, they added no cost. The use of video in the classroom really defined and kept me on track as a facilitator.
Based on this, there has been significant improvements in learning outcomes. The learners have progressed to higher levels and even out of remediation for a good number of them. We have records at the school to show that this has really been achieved. Parents are impressed with the performance of their children due to the changes they have seen in them.
A member of the girls' club, Catherine Yayura Ajaho, also shared her experience.
We have learned various skills like soap, beads making, doormat, yogurt preparation, to mention a few. This we sell at school community markets during our free time as a group. We have bought sanitary pads, exercise books, pens for our members who are deprived. We have thrown a party to celebrate our achievements and to be happy. We have organized clean-up campaigns and talks to educate ourselves and others.
And that's how we end the AM News with me, Mapisa CVD. The AM show continues with Mama V and Benjamin. Enjoy.
It's time now for the news review. It's another morning, and we've just, been having some exciting discussions about some of the stories this morning. I'm particularly looking forward to your review of the Daily Dispatch. The Daily Dispatch this morning. Anyway, I have the Ghanaian Times newspaper, the Daily Guide, the Catalyst, the Business and Financial Times, the Business Finder, and the Daily Statesman. What do you have?
Okay, I've got lots of the papers: Daily Graphic, Daily Dispatch. There's the Newsday, the New Independent, the Daily Heritage. Oh, okay, I'll do the rest of the papers, I guess. Where shall we begin with the Times?
I will commence with the Times. It says, Search for COVID-19 cure committee to assess early adoption of vaccine. That's according to Dr. Kuma Abuaje. And then GES begins payment of allowance to 301,000 teachers next week. Talk of perfect timing. Perfect timing. How convenient. Security agencies asked to be tough on vigilantism perpetrators. I think we all agree with them on that one. 2,080 lives lost, 12,380 injured in road accidents between January and October. The other day, you were having a conversation with the NRSA, National Road Safety Authority. It appears to be getting worse. Very recently, we saw that one tied to the NDC and 6 people dying and others being injured. In other stories, well, there is President Akufo-Addo shocked at former President Mahama's attempted claims to free SHS policy. If time permits us, we'll dig into this matter. That's on pages 12 and 13 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And on the back page, 33 people living with disability receive startup support from Ablekuma North Assembly. So that's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Okay, let's do the Daily Graphic front page. Battle over free SHS, will it be the game changer, with a question mark? Government releases 354 million Ghana cedis as professional development allowance, covers all teachers. Creative art industry deserves more attention. So some industry persons spoke at the Maiden Graphic Showbiz Forum on creative industry, and the story is in the paper today. Also, Graphic holds town hall meeting in Ho today. Special supplement on Black Friday inside the paper today. Graphic quarterly review out today as well. So Graphic advertising quite a bit of their own in today's paper. If you look at the back page, President inaugurates phase 1 of Pokwasi interchange. Ben, you were there yesterday.
Yeah.
If you know, like when you see the drone shot of the place, you get to really admire what has been done. But it also doesn't mean that traffic has ceased, from the comments by the people who obviously live there and use the road frequently. Yeah. So traffic is now gone to Pamprum.
Exactly.
Those who are very familiar with that road. So you go in Naka and you have to be in the traffic, but what flyover person?
Yep.
Yep. You've succeeded
so at least,
in doing that.
But it alludes to the fact that something is being done. It's work in progress. So phase 1 done, and there are plans to extend even that stretch to a 3-tier lane. There's a plan for another flyover, I think, on the Ringway.
You know, the thing is, we have to broaden the roads. So when the flyover, my concern, when I see this, I see something similar happening with the Pokwasi interchange. Great projects, by the way, but I fear that because I live in Kutunsi, I go beyond Pokwasi. I'll meet a lot of traffic at Amasaman.
So you'll get past it, but at a point, just like those in Pamprum currently, you'll still get blocked.
The good thing, though, is that that road has also been given out, you know, that stretch, as in after Pokwasi. Except that, Jimane is starting giddy, you know? So, that's
So it'll take some time. But speaking of which, of course, contractors and all of that in the mix this morning as well. We're having, because that's part of the problem. And when the contractor doesn't get paid, the work doesn't get done. Sometimes you have judgment debt situations, you know, resulting from there, and it's a complete mess. Look, a lot of the roads, per some, you know, surveys and research I did in the past, if you actually look at them from the 90s till now, we've kept awarding those same roads to contractors, because do you know what we do? We award to a contractor, we fail to pay. The work, maybe what has been done is not completed. The rains come, they wash away everything. Another administration comes, awards it again, and it's become a vicious cycle. And we keep doing this to ourselves, our taxpayers' money.
So let me put it this way, a different angle. I am excited about the projects. Worry again, we're going into an election season. Well, we're actually in the season, very close to the day when we're voting. If there is a change in administration, some of these projects will come to a halt. Contractors will not be paid.
Right.
And the issue that you talk about would arise. So that's the thing. That's the thing with our kind of politics, where because there is a change, things must come to a halt. Then we have to evaluate again.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody thinks somebody's doing something, and
but
then
the point I've always made is that if you think someone is doing something, like with Saglemi, quickly thrash out what has been done, deal with the people, and then at least the project mustn't suffer. Because look, Saglemi, a lot of money has been invested. If it was over-bloated, or if it was bloated, ensure that the right things are done. There are ways legally of dealing with these, with the contractor, and ensure that the right things are done. But at least on this one, this interchange, these are some of the things we can thank, you know, governments for continuity. Because October 2016 was when the project actually was initialized, funding and everything. But here we are. So that was in the tenure of the former president. Here we are, and at least it's being completed. That's a positive sign.
Sabita Flache. Let's move on.
Let's do the Daily Guide newspaper. Mahama fights Nana for free SHS. And I know you've I don't know how much you followed of Diego Armando Maradona.
Oh, you know, it depends. I guess it really depends on the year that you were born, like how much of him you saw on the pitch. I don't remember that, but of course I remember hearing his name.
Right.
And then I guess the drags, you know, all the...
His wild attitude.
Exactly.
Manager of football teams and
then,
all of that.
Yeah, and then he managed Argentina, didn't he?
Well, I didn't know about Argentina, but I know in recent times he's managed some clubs.
Yeah, and all the drama surrounding, but they say he, like, the best ever in the world. Yeah.
Well, that's a title he's always fought for with Pelé of Brazil. You know, there's that rivalry between Brazil and Argentina.
Pelé said something really sweet, that someday they will be playing football in the skies. Oh my God, that's beautiful.
He did?
Yes.
I've not seen
Tributes.
Wow.
To Diego Maradona.
And there's this image out there trending on social media. It shows, it's a cartoon animation. It shows Maradona with one hand off and handing it back to God, who actually has a hand off. You know that
because
goal
of the
he
World
scored?
Cup
yes,
goal.
the hand of God goal. I thought that was beautiful. Anyway, he's passed on at the age of 60, cardiac arrest. He had recently had a surgery for a clot in his brain. Akufo-Addo has kept faith with Nzimas. That's according to Freddie Wasimeu-Blay. Bawumia speaks on economy today. And on the back page, more of Maradona. But go make Ghana proud, Kurt Okraku tells Kotoko. That's it with the Daily Guide newspaper.
All right, let's do the Daily Dispatch. Ben's been waiting for this paper. I am shocked. Mahama claims he started free SHS. That's the president saying that. But that's not what Ben's been waiting for. This one, you'd see on the front page. For those with short memories, a reminder. Why is Ben Efson reminding us? That's because of the prediction yesterday where he says Akufo-Addo is going to win first round over 50%. He gave
I think around
50?
52%.
Okay.
It's almost a reversal of what he put forward in 2016.
And then people quickly reminded him, you know, you did this in 2016 and the swerve. And then he comes back this morning, he says, Jack, you're with short memories. Let me remind you the polls that I've done over the years. So
tell
that's
him,
what you see. 2000, Ben Efson's polls, Kufuor to win in runoff, and then actual results, Kufuor won in runoff. 2004, he says Kufuor to win first round, Kufuor won first round. 2008, runoff winner by 50,000 votes, Mills won runoff by 40,000 votes. But, you know, yeah. And then 2012, Mahama to win in first round. Mahama won first round. 2016, bombshell.
So another take, but 2016.
Mahama to win first round. Akufo-Addo won in first round.
Right.
So Ben Efson says, listen, don't judge me just based on 2016. Wait a minute. He is refreshing your memory. So now, with this reminder, you can make up your mind.
So to be fair, he would have, I mean, 4 out of 5 is an 80%, success rate or correct rate. That is 4 correct, 1 wrong. But the point is, if he gets it wrong this time, 2 back-to-back, what do you think that would do for his credibility? Because already some of what, I mean, yesterday on Campaign Trail, we put the question out there, and some people were very, what's the word? They were brutal with him. And you just imagine if this time it doesn't go, I don't know what people, how credible people will take his polls.
If it doesn't go south, it goes north.
Ah, well.
Okay.
Hopefully it will go north, because if it goes south there.
So the prediction is 52.6%. And then the NDC's John Dramani Mahama, 45.7%. Right. Yeah. Okay, there's another story. I've been looking for it on page 3. It says the man who has contested every election since 1992.
Oh, wow.
Okay, well, I'll leave
that must be in Parliament.
I'll leave you to explore. And then the back page has got Nana Akufo-Addo's story on how he's shocked by Mahama's claims he started free SHS. That will be it really for the Daily Dispatch.
Okay, so that was Mahama in the Upper East.
Oh, and Esiedu Bekwin supports dressmakers. Sorry.
Right. Right.
Details.
That would be an interesting one to get into. They're all doing something nowadays. The Business Finder, NDC's manifesto promises to cost 119.7 billion Ghana cedis. How much is that in dollars again? That would be maybe around 20 billion or less, I guess. It will return Ghana to Mahama's abysmal economic record. That's according to the Dankwa Institute. Picture there of Mr. Richard Ahiagba, Executive Director. Dr. Bawumia, of course, like we've said, speaking on the economy today, and the FDA builds capacity of 56 small-scale businesses. Let's move on to the next one.
All right, let's see. Let me do the independents. the New Independent newspaper. Front page, rejects Mahama's plea. Akufo-Addo tells Ghanaians, says presidency not for trial and error. Also, Akufo-Addo is running Sakawa government. Mahama jabs. So, Charlie, this last minute one, dear, this person jabs the other person, you know. And I like the documentary that we're coming up with, Politics of Prophecies. Isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Charlie. Okay, so plenty other stories in the New Independent newspaper, including this one. Pastor's life threatened for stopping a by-force marriage of girl by mother. That's in the paper today. I wish I could touch on it, but we'll go back to it after we tell you what's making the headlines. Yes.
Akufo-Addo is a dictator under this democracy. Mahama says he can shut down the internet on election day. So more and more being said. Recently, he was talking about the NCA and things that could have been down. Now he's talking about the president shutting down the internet. Is that even possible? 70% of SHS graduates can't enter university, but John Mahama says a better free SHS and TVET education are coming. That's an interesting one. Those are the highlights in the Catalyst newspaper.
All right, let me take you to the Daily Heritage. Front page, I'm coming to pay you. Mahama promises contractors. Clote Wulomo rallies support to develop Osu. Emergency safe home for gender-based violence launched. An assembling of Nissan vehicles in Ghana begins next year. That's what you find when you grab the Daily Dispatch by way of what's on the front page.
Well, the final paper I'll do, because the Daily Statesman basically carries the same stories that we've been talking about all on the MPP, so I would not repeat that. But the BNFT, iron and steel industry, to add $5 billion to economy under NED's project. Then rising power transmission losses cost over $150 million in 10 years. And there's also the GRA meets revised 2020 revenue targets, optimistic at achieving pre-pandemic targets. So it's a wrap from my end with regard to the headlines.
Okay, let me do the last one, which is the Ghanaian Publisher. This story is of interest. Ghana opts for Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines for deployments. There's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service speaking there. I'll come back and tell you what he's been saying with regards to the vaccines. Oh, and then Yana Catholic bishops to rally support for the Electoral Commission. Okay.
Right, so maybe let's start from the Ghanaian Times newspaper and maybe some COVID-19 related matters to kickstart the conversation on page 12. And it says committee to assess early adoption of vaccine, which actually delves into what you were just saying. Ghana has constituted a technical working group to assess the possibility of early deployment of the coronavirus disease vaccines developed by Pfizer and Moderna following its higher efficacy. The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumawagye, has announced. According to him, the committee would soon come out with the timelines for the adoption and deployment of the vaccines immediately it is released. And he explained that the clinical trials conducted by Pfizer and Moderna, both American pharmaceutical giants, revealed that the vaccines were 98% and 94% efficacious, respectively. You know, the batches that have come out from different companies, they have different levels of efficacy and, what the implications are for using one over the other and all of that. So I guess from our standpoint, these two have been settled on based on their own, studies and the level of efficacy, 98 and 94%. But maybe a little bit of a worry in that none of them is, 100%, at least not what I've seen so far. So there's still, even with them, there is still that minute possibility of still contracting the virus. Okay, so I'm surprised that we're not paying attention also to the University of Oxford, because it also has developed a vaccine which is way cheaper. I think they are one of the first to come out with. So well, maybe it's the technical committee that's working. I guess this Oxford announcement is also pretty new. So maybe that's why it's not been considered yet, because we're told that it is highly effective of stopping people developing COVID-19 symptoms, and that's a large trial. Is the percentage there? Like I think about 70% protection, but the researchers say the figure may be as high as 90% by tweaking the dose. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a matter of dosage.
Yes.
While this one at least concludes at 98 and 94%. So maybe, we are not health experts, maybe there's quite a lot that they are looking at in considering these matters. I guess that will be it on that story. But I just wanted to do this other one. Driver's mate in court for defiling girl. He allegedly had sexual intercourse with a girl under age 16 in her father's room. And he's appeared before the Accra Circuit Court yesterday, and he was charged with defilement. The name Patrick Nagwana, 20, pleaded not guilty, and the court presided by Mrs. Christine Khan, granted him bail with 3 sureties in the sum of 60,000 Ghana cedis. You don't want to end up in the cooler on the back of something like that.
I haven't seen the story of the NDC, the concerns that they raised at the press conference yesterday in any of the papers that I've looked at.
Me neither.
I don't know.
Me neither.
But listen, so you know the Director of Elections of the Electoral Commission made this comment on our show, and we just wanted to remind you of what he said on the back of, well, the NDC's press conference was basically based on his commentary. So let's listen to what Dr. Sribo Kweku told me here on the AM show.
So in everything that you want to achieve in this life, you set a plan and prepare for it. So that is a target we have set for ourselves, and we've tasked all our officials to work towards it. So we are expecting that before we go to bed on the 7th, the districts and constituencies should have completed their work. And when that is done, by mid the 8th of December, the information should be hitting the head office. And one thing that we have introduced for the 2020 election, which is captured in CR 127, is that we also do regional collation. So instead of head office doing collation of 275 results, we will do 16 results. So the regions will do their collation, and the region will bring the 16 results. So regional head office will collate 16 results. So all things being equal, we are hoping that before we go to bed on the 8th of December, we will come out with the presidential results.
Okay.
After parliamentary, they are declared at the constituency levels.
So what kind of transmission system are we using?
We will use the manual transmission. The police stations will submit the results to the constituency. The constituency will send their results to the region, and the region will fax the results to us.
So that's what Dr. Sribo Kweku said, all things being equal. All right.
So that was an interesting one there with Dr. Sribo Kweku. Quite, some highlights on some of the matters that are still raging now.
Exactly. And what the NDC is reacting strongly to, because they say that it is not possible that you can get the results a day after voting, considering all the challenges. But I also asked him that. Remember when he mentioned the canoe and all the tools that they travel with? So they appreciate the challenges on the ground, but they are saying that if they put everything together, we should get the results a day after. The NDC disagrees.
Well, from the Daily Guide newspaper, just this one, the headline will suffice. Ekwapim Polo to return to court on January 29, and we all know what happened there. Posing nude or semi-nude with her son. And so I guess it's an example for all of us. You can put whatever you like on social media, just be careful.
Oh, it's not an example for all of us. Example for the slayers. Must I say like, don't,
I should,
don't put everybody in that bracket.
I shouldn't call it.
Hit it right there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I don't think we have enough time for the online portals, but Mama V.
Well, David will be kind enough. Let's just take a look at what is on myjohnline.com.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Thank you, David. Okay, so real quick, the second cycle institutions debate. This was the
all
debate,
second cycle institutions.
Yeah, this was the debate on education.
Right.
That was held yesterday. So a recap of that on myjohnline.com. You can get there and see what the various parties have been saying. So the NDC saying that they're going to abolish the double track. MPP saying, no, if you do that, you're going to hurt the free SHS. PNC, the other parties have also their alternate, the alternative arrangement. So you can check it out. Ghana's active COVID-19 cases dropped to 775. That's the latest. EC publishes 2020 special voters list. Voting is on the 1st for the special voters. Free SHS is doing the magic for girl-child education, says a deputy education minister. Plenty other stories on myjournline.com. Please make time.
But before we go, who's your seamstress or tailor?
Auntie B of Smart Clothing, and then Ajwa of Ajwa Clothing. But recently I've been wearing a lot of Auntie B.
Right.
So this is from Auntie B. The fabric is Woodin, by the way.
Yes.
Le Créateur. Oh, you speak French. Say it.
Le Créateur.
Ah, say it again.
Le Créateur.
Okay, go to Woodin. Any Woodin store, grab a fabric and sew something beautiful for yourself.
Since you're shouting out yours, mine is by Mrs. Eshen. We'll leave it like that. But you should check out the brand if you love this. Anyway, it's time now for us to run away from here. Sports is up next. Do stay. Welcome back. Thank you for your company on the AM show. Now, as we started the show, we did tell you that we'd be talking about COVID-19 related matters, and it's on the back of the COVID-19 National Trust Fund intimating that it was in dire need of funding. Our guest this morning, Kwame Bempa Osei, he speaks for the COVID-19 Trust Fund. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, boss. How are you?
It's good to have you, for a conversation like
I'm
this.
also happy to be with you.
Right. Is the COVID-19 National Trust Fund broke? Are you broke?
We are not broke. I don't understand where I should place the word broke, but we need a lot more contributions in order to carry on with the mandate that has been placed on us, because you realize that the setting up of the COVID-19 National Trust Fund was mainly to complement the efforts of government in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. And by that, we don't receive government support. Ours is to collect monies from private individuals who are willing to contribute to support the fight of the COVID-19 pandemic. So our contributions are voluntary. And we say that the beggar has no choice. So you appeal to people, you appeal to institutions, you depend on their sympathies and benefactors. So if they bring it, you continue. If it happens that the contributions that you receive, the support that you receive is not forthcoming, then you need to intensify your efforts, fundraising efforts, appealing to the groups and individuals to come to your aid, because what we get is what we use to engage in our activities. So yes, from the onset, we saw the enthusiasm from benevolent organizations coming on their own to our premises. At certain days, we were receiving more than 10, 13, 16 groups coming to make donations, because that was the period where the cases of COVID-19 were rising. And for that matter, people saw the need to also contribute their quota in helping to combat the pandemic. When time went on, it seems that people have gotten a certain misconception that the disease is no more, and it is going. So the conversation is that why do you continue to give money to a disease or a virus that is going away or is no more with us? So that kind of attitude has affected the kind of contributions that we were receiving.
But as you speak of that attitude, just to interject here, don't you feel then that, of course, the novelty of it made a lot of people panic, a lot of people want to jump on board. But with all that has happened and with things getting better, the lockdowns being eased across the world, it was to be expected, wasn't it? So maybe the trust fund, you took your foot off the pedal assuming that, oh, the contributions will keep coming. And of course, naturally, they dwindled. So maybe some responsibility there.
We didn't keep our foot off the pedal because it was even at that time that we intensified our fundraising activities, where we were appealing to individuals through personal contact, through letters, through one-on-one engagements and so on, so that people will see the need to contribute. But like you said, you are right in a certain way that within the world stage, there seemed to have been a reduction in the numbers of infections and so on. So people felt that the virus was going away. But the case as it is now does not support the fact, because you realize that there has been a surge, second wave of infections almost around the world. Today, in Germany, there is a serious issue about whether the entire nation should be locked down. States are saying that no, we won't agree. There has been several meetings between the chancellor and state governors as to how they should approach the second wave of infections. In the UK, in Belgium, everywhere, and in India and in Pakistan, everywhere in the world, the frightening second wave of coronavirus infections also should give us a worry as a country that,
especially as our case count is also,
looking at the fact that in our case count is also increasing. We came down to less than 400. Now we've risen beyond 1,000 active cases, and that is frightening.
But that feeds exactly into my point. It appears we eased the pressure a bit, and even with regard to the COVID-19 National Trust Fund, because if we really saw that need to continue fighting, to continue getting funding support, we would have kept up at it. But would you say that it's the same? It obviously isn't the same.
It is the same not because we didn't intensify our fundraising efforts. Because you realize that the first time we had the engagement, I told you that as a private national fund, we needed to form partnerships with other state institutions because we can't do it alone. So from the onset, we engaged the National Commission for Civic Education and said that you are the state institution responsible for sensitization and public education. They came with their budget. We were able to meet them halfway. We gave them 2.5 million cedis to engage in public education. And on Tuesday at our symposium, their deputy director in charge of operations, Mr. Samuel Asare-Kwamwa, gave a testimony about how the support we provided to the National Commission for Civic Education has in a way revitalized their activities and the kind of public education that they've conducted across the length and breadth of this country. Over 43,000 communities that they have visited in the whole of the country. And now they have a surplus of what we provided to them. And they were asking the permission of the board to use that to also fund their media advertisement and public education.
How much exactly did you give? What kind of support did you give?
$2.5 million. They bought pickups.
$2.5 million?
No, sorry, 2.5 million Ghana cedis. They bought about 10 pickups. They bought education crafting materials like specialized computers that they will use to craft their infographics and all those things. And they also use some of the money, like the deputy director said on Tuesday, to resurrect some of their equipment, especially vehicles that has been there since 2009 and they were not functioning.
So the money you gave, the 2.5 million Ghana cedis, went a long way to
support them. This testimony is coming from the National Commission for Civic Education themselves. It is not coming from me. On Tuesday, it is there. The footage is there. Your people were there. I can send it to you and you can also use it. So the groups that were invited to provide testimony, including the Noguchi research place, where in the initial stages, a lot of the research activities for COVID was being done only in Noguchi until they added KCCR. Now, according to Professor Ampofo, they have about 22 testing centers. And this was as a result of the kind of support that they receive in terms of equipment purchase, regions and others to boost their testing capacity.
So support to the NCC and other organizations. Let's break down the figures. The last time I interacted with you, you did indicate that you had got just about 36 million Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
What are the figures now? How much exactly has the COVID-19 National Trust Fund got in total, especially between then and now? And what are the dwindling returns? Tell us.
As at 27th of October, the last we updated, we received 57 million.
57?
About 57 million Ghana cedis. And by that same time, we've also disbursed about 41 million.
So that leaves you with about 16 million.
Yes, and that 16 million also, some activities are still ongoing that we've not even included in the expenditure. For example, there was the immediate need to determine the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on households in Ghana. And we were as to how to go about it to determine the impact. So we find out that the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research of University of Ghana has done a lot of work on the socioeconomic impact of ABCD. So we engaged Professor Kote and his people, and they accepted that they will conduct a nationwide research to determine the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on households. They did that, and the outcome suggested that we can assist individual households with certain amount of money to ease them from the impact that they've gotten from the COVID-19 pandemic. So we selected 10,392 individuals to disburse, to give them 500 Ghana cedis each.
10,392?
Yes, 92 individuals, to give them 500 Ghana cedis each. It is not something that will be considered as big, but depending upon their background and the kind of problems that they are going through, we could have done more, and we need to do more. But the resources...
So that figure, 10,392 by
500
would give you 5,196,000.
So that is also going to go away from the 16 million that you mentioned.
So practically you'd be left with about 11 million.
Yes.
Because 5.1 plus million.
And that will not also sit there, because we continue to receive requests for support of projects and activities, all that. And don't forget that as a trust fund, we have a mandate. And the act that establishes the trust fund specifically provides us the framework within which we can operate. And in operating, you do not want to go beyond your mandate. And the two responsibilities that has been placed on the shoulders of the COVID-19 National Trust Fund is to support those who are directly engaged in the combat of COVID-19. And the second one is to also support those who have been affected with or afflicted by the COVID-19 pandemic, especially the vulnerable in the society. That is why when you look at our programs and activities, the food items, the non-cash items that were provided to us from the beginning, which we have quantified to about 8 million Ghana cedis, a lot went to institutions like Help Page Ghana, like the children's homes. And in our symposium last Tuesday, representatives from these institutions came and provided just testimonies about what these interventions has done to them, because they have a lot of people to reach to, a lot of individuals who are in a state of what I can say despair, that they needed support, and how that support we provided have gone a long way in supporting them and bringing relief. So during the symposium, what you hear is that Oliver Twist asked for more. Oliver Twist.
So a lot of them were now.
So institutions like the support that we gave to the private sector, COVID-19 private sector fund, to complete the National Infectious Disease Center at the Gais area in Accra.
That was largely supported by
we gave them about 6 million. We gave them about 6 million Ghana cedis and $1.2 million for them to be able to finish the
all out of that pool of 51.
Yes, out of the 56 that have the 41 that we've disbursed, all that is included. So they are saying that you've helped us a lot. We appreciate what you have done.
So a lot of the appreciation, and of course, it stands to reason that when someone does something good for you, you appreciate the gesture.
Yeah.
But don't you think it's a little too late, this accountability, the transparency? Because I recall, her ladyship, the former Chief Justice, your board chair, actually indicating back then when people raised some concerns about how the money would be used, what it would be used for. I remember hearing, the rhetoric of every pesewa would be accounted for and everything would be made very visible to every, Ghanaian. But that hasn't panned out, that hasn't turned out to be the case. Because between my last interaction with you and talking to you now, we've not had any facts and figures, any real information being put out there with regard to, look, this is how much we've been getting, maybe on a monthly basis, because it would be difficult to say every week a common account. But on a monthly basis, that has not happened. And if you put that side by side with, look, in church, your pastor tells you, let's do this project. They take money. You don't see anything. What happens? The next time they come calling, you don't really want to give. I'm not suggesting that is the case, but don't you feel in terms of giving account for what you've got, you've been too slow, lethargic, and that maybe has led to the dwindle in resources?
I want to take on board the suggestion that at least we can do a monthly account to the general public as to what we've done and how much we spent and so on. That is a very good suggestion that we can take on board.
Is that something you're going to take on?
But yes, we will take that on board because there is nothing to hide. Everything that we are saying, we have records to back it, and her leadership, the Chief Justice and the former Chief Justice and the chairperson is right that every pesewa will be accounted for, and it is being accounted for. But maybe as to the intervals of accountability, the lack may be something that we may have to take a relook at. But we've also been doing, because if you recall, I released a press statement indicating what we have done, and I sent it to all the media houses. We were expecting...
How long ago was this?
There will be a follow-up.
How long ago was this?
Oh, yes, it's been about 2 months back. 2 months back, around, I think it was around September, and then I'll check the exact date. And we've also been engaging individuals on platforms like this, engaging the general public on platforms like this. And the symposium was an event that sent to a lot of the people, the general public, our stakeholders, our donors, those that we've supported, our partners, and so on, to appreciate what we have done. That appreciation is what I am also giving. And it is not coming from me. But the point I was trying to hammer was that because of these disbursements, you agree that our resources will surely dwindle. Right. But the demand is also coming. And mind you, if you compare what we have taken, 57 million, to the lot that has gone into the combat of COVID-19, and I would like to reiterate the point that we don't receive any support from central government in terms of financial disbursement or budgetary allocations.
You rather are disbursing to government agencies.
Yes, through individual contributions. So when you are going to beg, you have a limit as to what you go, because you are depending on the individual or the corporate organization or the group. Give me something to do more. And if the something is not coming, it limits you to a certain extent. And I think that there are certain factors that has contributed to this. And one of it is the earlier point that I made about that lack of appreciation that the disease is going. So why should I contribute to fighting a disease that is going? But we need to appreciate the fact that the disease is still with us. Coronavirus is not gone. Even if Pfizer, Moderna, and Biotech, and the Oxford University, and in India, I'm also hearing that they are saying they have gotten a vaccine. Even when the vaccine comes, we will still be living with coronavirus, because we have polio vaccine, but people still suffer from polio.
And even the vaccine is not full.
Yes, and the
none
vaccine
of those
is
I've seen goes as far as 100%.
Proof,
so
because they are still testing. Some are saying they've gotten 90% success outcome. How potent it's going to be is yet to be determined when the mass production starts in the first quarter of 2021, next year. So we need to appreciate the fact that it is not the responsibility of COVID-19 National Trust Fund alone, neither is it the responsibility of Ghana's Health Service alone, nor the responsibility of central government alone, but a collective responsibility of all stakeholders. The media, you need to do your part, and
like
you are doing it. You are doing it like you are doing. You invited me when I didn't even know that you were going to invite me, and that is part of your responsibility of educating the public, providing platforms of this nature for institutions to also drum home what they are doing. So that collective responsibility, when it is appreciated and when it is taken on board, and the fact that the numbers are increasing and rising should also give that kind of reawakening spirit, a spirit within us not to relent in our efforts in the combat of the COVID-19 pandemic, because the consequence may be very disastrous. And that is the way that I think we need to look at it in a more holistic manner than to leave it to, let's say, COVID-19 National Trust Fund or state institutions. From the presentation given by the Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Siansare, at the symposium, even immediately after the last broadcast, the 19th broadcast of the President, and his point that people have stopped wearing their masks.
Dropped from about 46% to 5%.
Yes,
that's
the cases that
horribly low
they were getting has gone down. So it tells you that if all should take the responsibility of doing their part, we will go a long way to be successful in our fight against the coronavirus pandemic.
It is, as we do this.
You have been watching your platforms, the Joy News, the Adom, and so on. And when you go outside and talk to people, you can bear testimony to the kind of attitude that people have against coronavirus. It was when the police and the security agencies were chasing people with canes that they find it prudent to wear their masks. Now, no policeman is chasing anybody. So when you go to our public transport, the trotros and everywhere, people are not using the face masks. And the medical experts who were there, Dr. Nsiansare, Dr. Lee Samba, Professor Ampofo, Dr. Tanko, and everybody bear testimony to the fact that across the world, the wearing of the mask has been identified as one of the preventive measures against the spread of COVID-19. So we need to put our efforts together to continue with the education, to continue with the support. And we can only do this because the COVID-19 National Trust Fund itself should take on our own initiative, public education campaigns. But when it comes to that, we don't have enough personnel. We are not an institution that should come here and lament. But we don't have, because from the onset, everybody thought that COVID was going to stay with us for a short period of time. Now, in March 29th and April 8th that the board was sworn in, how many months now? We are still have to confront COVID-19.
So bottom line, we're all involved, like the words in
yes,
we're all involved in building our motherland Ghana.
Yes.
And we can't build Ghana if COVID-19 keeps ravaging the populace. Now, to wrap up, you did indicate that the MTN Foundation had made a donation of items worth about 5 million Ghana cedis, right?
Yeah.
And you also indicated, to me, right before we started this conversation, that the last contribution you got was from an individual that was at the tail end of August.
No, so we got it somewhere in October. But from the ending of August through September up to October and the last part of October where we received that donation, nothing has come.
Good. So as we wrap up, I want you to look ordinary Ghanaians, organizations, look Ghanaians in the eye and make a pitch to them about why, apart from all that you've said, why they should come on board and make contributions. Nothing is too small.
And like I said, we have a mandate to discharged. And the mandate can only be discharged with enough resources. What we have done now, the appreciation based on the testimonies that were given by institutions and individuals, bear testimony to the fact that yes, we've done so much. And what we have done has also impacted in the combat of the COVID-19. We need to do more, and we can only do more when we get enough resources to be able to discharge the mandate. And since we don't receive any support from government, we rely on the benefactors of organizations, corporate individuals, and so on. We need enough PPEs to go around because the medical facilities, the big ones and the small ones, the frontline workers, the appeal is that yes, you've done so much, but some of them are disposables. You wear and you have to throw it away, whether it's a cover-up, whether it's a goggle. A lot of the PPE that we give to medical facilities and frontline workers are disposable. So you need to get them in multiple quantities to be able to discharge their work without any problems. So we are still, although we appreciate what has been done to us, because we receive donations from over 600 contributors. Wow. From corporate bodies, individuals, groups, associations, churches, NGOs, and so on. About 600. And we've been publishing the names in the dailies with the contributions that they have given. So we are saying that come to the aid of the COVID-19 National Trust Fund. You can walk to any CBG bank or GCB, formerly Ghana Commercial Bank. I was just about to ask. Say that, yes, just say that you are coming to contribute to the COVID-19 National Trust Fund, and they will assist you with the account numbers for you to do your donation. And if you have the Kitwebi Ensha to also present, it is star 100, star 887 star 100 hash. Star 887 star 100 hash. That is the code that you can use to make your donation. The Kitwebi Ensha and MTN, Airtel, Tigo, and Vodafone. Star 887 star 100 hash, and we will appreciate everything. And we like to also commend the individuals and organizations that have made contributions to us so far. Right. And Oliver Twist asks for more. If they still have some to give, we appreciate their contributions so that we'll be able to reach every corner of the country in terms of our activities.
Mr. Bempos, I would love to thank you so much. And we just want you to know that we're firmly behind you, supporting the cause to rid our nation and the entire world, of COVID-19. Kwame Bempos is Communications Director for the COVID-19 Trust Fund. And he has been, discoursing with us. Thank you so much for coming. We're taking a break, and when we come back, a lot to expect from women in power and politics. The Member of Parliament for Wejak-Bawe is actually going to be having a discourse with us. Do stay tuned for that. Welcome back. So it's a Thursday morning, and as we gear up for election 2020, a lot of discourse we're going to be having. So before we bring you that bit with my co-host Mama Vioso Abwaje and the MP for Wejak-Bawe, how about we do this one? Analysis of the campaign trail. It's a conversation on the NDC's posturing on matters relating to the Electoral Commission. There's also the president commissioning projects everywhere, if you like. Significant at this time? That's a question we're posing. Our guests this morning, Dr. Amache Boateng, a political scientist with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and his counterpart from the University of Ghana, political scientist Dr. Alidu Seidu. They'll be both joining us for a conversation on this matter, both of them via Zoom. Let me quickly say a very good morning to Dr. Amache Boateng and Dr. Alidu Seidu. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Great to connect with you once more. So let's start from Dr. Amache Boateng. Let's start from your end. The Electoral Commission has been in a bit of a trade-off situation, if you like, trading responses with regard to some of the matters that have cropped up in recent times ahead of election 2020. The National Democratic Congress has raised issues to do with the ballot papers, to do with its security, to do with myriad matters. Looking at what you've observed so far, what are your concerns in the approach of the NDC and that of the Electoral Commission?
Okay, let me say good morning to your viewers. And right away to say that it is really unfortunate. And I think that all the parties who want to take a second look at what have transpired so far. Then this is coming from somewhere. You know, when Madam Charlotte Osei was in office, the opposition of the day had issues with her. And then what happened, and Charlotte Osei is no longer there. We have Madam Jane Mensah. So you want to ask yourself whether it is a payback time. You know, the way, Charlotte Osei's leadership at the EC was, questioned and heckled. Is it a payback time? And then you have also information, coming ahead of time from the NDC indicating that they were not going to give Jane Mensah, a peace of mind, and that in a way they were going to putting pressure on her, in a way that it relates to things that they are doing that, come out as errors, come out as irregularities. It's only fair. But then if it becomes persistent the way it is, getting to, then definitely there's cause for concern. But then the EC itself has not also helped the matter. Their pronouncements, have not helped. Previously, the position they have taken, to the best of my understanding, as far as the usefulness of IPAC is concerned, to me adds to the confusion. The EC should know that the IPAC is a major instrument it has in ensuring transparency, and it's a major element in achieving transparency. If you are engaging with bodies, and especially from the EC, given its work, if even Donald Trump of the United States of America had cause to be concerned about the EC operating fairly with him, then definitely ECs around the world, don't have their own way all the time. It never happens anywhere. The work they do is such that there's always the possibility that people will take technical challenges as political manipulations, political partisanship. That sort of intersection is there. The EC's ability to be efficient, dispels such challenges. So let me just end here and say that what is transparent now is not healthy for our system.
Are you suggesting, very briefly, that it's a tit-for-tat situation and that the NDC, now finding itself in the opposition, is trying with all of these, criticisms to sort of get back at the other side, in this case, Jane Mensah, who came to replace Charlotte Osei? Is that the suggestion?
I'm asking questions. But then, has the NDC been dabbling in, if you like, issues without justifications? Some of the issues they pointed out are worth pointing out. And I think they have helped even the EC itself to get things done properly. So one may not necessarily, point to that it's a payback time. But I'm only asking questions in a way to let the NDC know that if they don't really calm down and approach the way they go about some of the issues properly, there's this tendency for people to, come to that understanding. I don't think the NDC has been crying wolf. No, some of the issues they point out are relevant and need to be addressed in order to get the EC to do the right thing, crucially to establish electoral integrity. And that is very, very significant. Electoral credibility and then integrity so that people can trust the outcome.
Dr. Ali Dusaidu, now I'll throw that same question to you. Looking at the banter, the back and forth between the Electoral Commission and mostly the National Democratic Congress, what are your greatest concerns? What are your takeaways? What are the things that we ought to be looking at to forestall any incidents ahead of election day?
Okay, thank you so much. If you look at the workings of election management bodies across the world, people usually, especially actors, political actors usually have reasons to doubt the credibility of electoral commissions because of several reasons. One, you are looking at, if you look at, go back to the academic literature, the whole concept of institutions and institutionalism. Institutions are created to actually shape the way we behave, but also to install that sense of discipline in the way we do things. So it is not by accident that most election management bodies, EMBs, are always preferably set up to be independent from political interference of the executive. Over the years, we realized that political EMBs are only independent as long as the elites agree for those institutions to be independent. Elite consensus can actually force election management bodies to behave in a way that betray the constitutional provision of independence and non-interference. In Ghana, if you go back historically to the conduct of elections, there has always been that back and forth, depending on where the political party that is making the accusation finds itself, whether in opposition or in government. But the recent events over the appointment of new commissioners, the dismissal of Charlotte Osei and all those things have gone a long way to heighten that kind of suspicion that the NDC may have about the Electoral Commission. And like my very good friend mentioned, recent events have actually gone a little bit to actually vindicate most of the suspicions that the NDC has raised against the Electoral Commission. I think moving forward, it is important that the Electoral Commission is able to conduct itself in a manner that brings back credibility to the work that they do, because it is very important. The outcome of the electoral processes is very important, just as the processes that leads to the outcome. So we have to make sure that the EC works in a manner that restores credibility, so that at the end of the day, people don't have, the actors specifically don't have issues to blame or suspect the kind of results that they are going to bring forth after December 7th.
Right.
It is very crucial. If people don't trust the processes, the outcome will not be accepted.
Just to pick on two main, very important things that you just said. One of them being the fact that you feel the EC, through its own actions, has lent some credibility to part of what the NDC has been saying. And the other bit that the EC must act in a way to restore credibility. Would that suggest that the EC, the Electoral Commission, has lost credibility as far as you are concerned?
I wouldn't say that completely, because if you look at the recent survey conducted by the CDD, I think some few weeks back, it suggested that the Electoral Commission is credible. Even though these opinion polls, it depends on the people that they have spoken to, the sample size, and they could be biased or whatever it is. But recent statistics shows that, by the CDD, shows that there is a little bit element of credibility. But if you juxtapose that too with the Afrobarometer survey, I think around 7, it also speaks to the fact that there is a little bit of suspicion. That is not so much credibility in terms of the work some state institutions do. And specifically, the EC was part of the state institutions that the around 7 of the Afrobarometer looks at. But the most recent, so the EC's, the recent CDD survey actually kind of have a little bit slightly different from the around 7 of the Afrobarometer survey. But when we are going to pick it, we say that CDD is the most recent. And it shows that there is Ghanaians have so much trust for the Electoral Commission to be able to do its work. So if you're going to look at empirical data, from the CDD survey, it suggests that Ghanaians have confidence in the manner that the EC is going to conduct the election. But if you look at the actors are very important. At the end of the day, the acceptance of electoral results by the actors can lead to the kind of peace that we want in this country. The rejection of that particular outcome by these actors can also lead to something else. So what is more important is the fact that if survey results are pointing to one thing and the actions or the utterances of the institution is pointing to the other, we can reconcile them. So what I'm saying is that the data surveys, we've had surveys in this country, and sometimes most of those surveys may not turn out to be the way it's supposed to be. Right. Even if you look at the American elections, they have the most sophisticated of instruments to be able to do a very good survey. It got things, the level at which they thought Donald Trump would have lost, it didn't happen. And in 2016, it was also similar. They all wrote Donald Trump off, and he emerged a winner. So these are just perceptions. What is more important is the fact that the perceptions matches with the reality and the actions of the institution that is being assessed. Right. If there seems to be a discrepancy, then it creates more room for contestations, and contestation doesn't lead to an outcome that is good.
Just because you made those points, so those political actors, including the Electoral Commission and all the other political parties, what exactly would you be looking forward to seeing from them to forestall maybe even what we've seen in the United States that you use as an example, where an election, the result of an election is contested, and a whole lot comes to bear as a result of that, where the democracy itself that they are practicing comes into question. What can those political actors, together with the Electoral Commission, do to forestall any scenes that we don't want to see ahead of Election Day?
So my good friend made a very important point about consultations through IPAC. I think in the work of a very important state agency like the EC, there should be broader consultation, but also consensus. You cannot use just majoritarian decision at IPAC to be able to arrive at a conclusion and implement. There should be an element of consensus building. There should be an element of broader consultation. There should be an element of participation. Once we have all these things done, and all the people who have accused you of doing things wrongly are part of the decision-making process, and you let them participate in everything, they will see how fair the process is. And if they have reasons to accuse you, people will tell them, but you were part of the process that led to that particular decision. We have seen over the years that IPAC, that kind of political gamemanship we play in town, has now been translated into the whole meetings of IPAC. IPAC is seriously divided between these two major political parties, and people have reasons to believe that when decisions are going to be taken, some people's letters are either, some political parties' letters are either served late, or the date is changed, or the time is manufactured. Sorry, the time is stated in such a way that by the time they will come, the processes or the important decisions are sort of been taken. If you do it this way, then the very institution that you will have used to build that element of credibility is also being tainted by partisanship. And once we begin to look at things that way, it doesn't help. So I believe the best way they can move forward and build that credibility has to do with border-based consultation, consensus-oriented decision-making process, and then transparency. In everything that they do, there should be that element of transparency so that everybody sees how they go about doing their things. And if you have every reason to question any process, they are on standby to explain to you. That is one of the best ways that this credibility can be restored, kind of.
Let me come to Dr. Amakye Boateng. Now, one other crucial issue that has come to the fore in recent times has to do with special voting. On December the 1st, media people, security agencies, members of security agencies, even staff of the Electoral Commission will be voting. But there has been some issue to do with a compilation of that list, and some have suggested, like security analyst Adam Bona, that there are problems with the list, that the list is not what it ought to be, and that some people could be disenfranchised ahead of voting day. Now, for those on that list, you know that if you don't get to vote on December the 1st, you will not qualify. Your name will not be on the general list for voting on December the 7th. The EC has been delivering some responses to that. What is your take on that matter, and how do we forestall disenfranchising ordinary Ghanaians who are in these institutions?
Okay,
Dr. Abachi Boateng, are you with us?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, I'm with you.
Great. So how do we prevent a case where those who are, special voters are disenfranchised on voting day?
I think the EC, as we just said, should be ready to continue to be sensitive to the environment. For example, the input that has come in, they should use it to go into their documents, cross-check, and find out whether there's anything untoward. I don't know whether they can't even do some sort of, maybe exhibition is late now. It should be possible for the EC to really go over its work, cross-check, and put the dots there and cross all the T's. I think that shouldn't be a big deal at all. But
is it not too little, too late?
I don't think it's late now. I don't think it's late. It's relates to data, and I think their experts should be able to go through, pinpoint areas that people have fears are going to have people disenfranchised, and then go in there to see whether those names are in place or not. It should be possible for them to do corrections that ought to be done. But quickly, let me just add that the electoral process ends with the courts. So that Ghana, where we've come to, we should not be talking about violence if any party disputes the outcome of the elections or anything. I don't think we should be speaking to violence. No. At this time, violence, Ghana has gone beyond that. In 2012, we went there. There was a major disagreement. They went to the court. The electoral process ends with the judiciary. So violence should be taken out completely. There should be no room for that. If anybody, goes there, then it's purposive intention. Someone trying to hide behind the elections to achieve something. And I think when it happens like that, the security should be strong enough to stamp the needed authority. So we should not be speaking to violence should there be any disagreement. There are bound to be disagreements here and there, even the nature of the work of the election management body, not only but all over the world. And let me say that the US case is nothing untoward. Donald Trump so far has been legal. The only thing is that there's a normative, response that he should give by conceding. And he thinks he should go through the courts to make sure every ballot paper that ought to be counted is counted. So far, he's legal. There's nothing wrong doing at all.
Well, thank you very much for that. Now, we'll be moving on to the second segment of our conversation to talk about the commissioning of projects, their relevance at this point in time. But let's connect with my colleague, Elton Brobe. He has been touring, with His Excellency, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Elton, good morning to you.
Good morning, Akapo.
Great. Good to connect with you. Now, what exactly has been happening on the campaign trail with the president? What has he been up to? What's the schedule for today?
All right. So as you can see, we are currently at the Jubilee House. What is happening is that we are getting ourselves ready to join the convoy. The convoy is making a stop in the central region for the next few days, starting today. So the entire electioneering team, together with the president, the media, everybody is getting ready to start today's journey. So that will be for the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and then the day after. It will climax the central regional tour with the funeral of the late MP from Fansiman, Eko Hayford, who was, murdered by some suspected armed robbers. That will be the last event in the central region. But this morning, the president will make a stop at Butuburam. He will interact with traders on the stretch. In Futuba, he's subject to commission one district, one factory project, and then we'll sleep in the central regional capital, Cape Coast, and then continue from there from the days to follow. So yesterday was the conclusion of the first phase of the Greater Accra Regional Tour, which ended with a rally at East Legon in the Ayawa's West Legon constituency. Leader Al-Hassan is the parliamentary candidate for that particular area. President Akufo-Addo, together with his Minister for Trade, Minister for Works and Housing, to turn to address the crowd. The issue about who implemented the free senior high school policy was high on the agenda, coming from all the speakers that mounted the platform. President Akufo-Addo, he is still in shock and is finding it difficult to explain the rationale behind former President Mahama's assertion that he started the free senior high school program. He says that the evidence is there and it's clear for everyone to see. As to who started it, there's no doubt about it. As far as he is concerned, he started it, the evidence supports it, and that for a former president to assume that he started a free senior high school program with the construction of the E-blocks smacks of deceit and lies, something that he describes as an inspiring campaign that he is undertaking and needed to do something to rejuvenate it. That's how come he went on that particular tangent. But for him, he's done so much well. He's delivered on almost all the promises he made to Ghanaians in the run-up to the 2016 elections. People should assess him, and if they are comfortable with what he's done so far, then there will be the need for him to give him 4 more years, because he has laid a solid foundation that is about to take off. And 4 more years will see Ghana transform from where it is now to where it is destined to be. So that concluded the tour of the Greater Accra region. Last night, actually before returning to bed, he launched a short code for people to continuously donate towards the construction of the National Cathedral. When he met leaders of religious bodies at the Alisa Hotel to update on progress made so far towards the construction of the National Cathedral. So a short code was launched yesterday for Ghanaians to contribute towards the construction of the facility. So Akapo, we are getting ready to hit the central region for the next 3 days. The central region, according to them, is very important because they are looking at a region that has become so swing in the electoral pattern of this country, more especially when the running mate of the NDC hails from the central region. So more attention, according to analysts of the president, will be devoted to the central region. That's how come for the next 3 days, President Akufo-Addo will spend in the central region. From the central region, he will spend a day in the western region, and then we'll move to the Ashanti region for another 3 days, and then come back to the Greater Accra region for another 3 days to wrap up the electioneering campaign for the president's second term bid. Greater Accra is key for them. Whoever is able to win Greater Accra will stand a greater chance of winning the national elections. And the MPP has a target to win 28 out of the 33 seats available in the Greater Accra region, and also to win the popular votes for the presidential post. So that presents a very quite challenge scenario for the MPP, but they are counting on their record in government to push them to the goal that they set for themselves.
Well, thank you very much, Elton, for bringing us up to speed. Elton Brobe, who's been touring with His Excellency the President. And of course, the next stop is the central region. If you look at the distribution of seats there, you'd realize just how crucial that is. So we're going to wrap up on this conversation, but from the standpoint of the commissioning of projects. And in recent times, we've seen a lot of that. Road projects like the Obechebi-Lamte interchange, which, we only saw in recent days being commissioned, the first phase of that one. And we've seen some hospital projects as well, even housing projects. Now, the question is, how relevant are they, at the 11th hour when an election draws nigh? And should we even support this, where right at the dawn of an election, we commission a lot of projects, maybe to win votes? That's a question I'll put to my guests for their brief take on it. Dr. Saidu, I'll start with you on this one. What is your take?
Okay, I think politicians always make promises and assure the people of bettering their life and livelihood when they win. So sometimes most of these projects are usually things that they have promised them, but sometimes they are just things that they believe if they do, they can win the votes of the populace. My problem has to do with the timing. Largely, political parties win power, they forget about everything. Then in the last minute to the elections, they come and commission half-completed projects just to make people believe that they are actually up to the task, or they need 4 more years to be able to complete the project. I think Ghanaians have been coming so descending over the years, and they look at the intention, not necessarily the project, but the intention and the purpose for which the project is supposed to serve. They consider that. If you look at 24 years back, 2016, the former President John Dramani Mahama was even named Commissioner general, because he spent almost the entire last minute of his campaign commissioning projects. Some of them fully completed, some of them half completed. But he didn't win the elections. So it suggests that Ghanaians are not just looking at what you do and which time you commission them, but they are also becoming discerning. They know that politicians are now beginning to play politics with them by commissioning half-baked projects at the last minute. Then they are wondering, when you came to power, what were you doing? And then you, just at the last minute, you have started doing all this commissioning of projects and all those things. So, one, the party faithfuls, it becomes a rallying point for them to sell the achievement of their government or political party to the people. But to the discerning listener, he reads in between the lines and looks at the importance of the project, the timing of the project, and for what reasons the project is being commissioned at the time that it has been commissioned, when it cannot even perform the full task or full beneficiary, give the full benefit that it's supposed to give to the people. But people go ahead to commission it. So I think the discerning listeners who always determine the winner, who always determine the winner of every election, read in between the lines. To the party faithfuls, it becomes, these kind of things become the rallying point for them to trumpet the achievement of their government. But at the end of the day, the people will decide.
Talking about the people deciding very briefly, now, you, I suppose, are one of those discerning, voters. Do you feel that any of the projects springing up or being commissioned are merely for votes?
To me, from where I sit, I think it is the responsibility of government. That is why we entrust them into power, to provide these things. So I don't see the building or commissioning of projects and all those things as one of the reasons why I will vote for a political party. I look at the policies that you've mentioned, the relative benefit of that policy to me as a person, to the community, and to the state at large. And now look at how you conduct yourself from the very day you are entrusted with the power to govern up to the last minute. I read your intentions, and I also read in between the lines. So I'm a discerning voter. Some of these things don't move me. I know why I vote. And I believe largely a lot of Ghanaians are also moving towards the direction of becoming rational voters. So they look at the intention from day one, the policies that you have promised vis-a-vis the effort that you have made from the word go, not at the last minute.
Right. Dr. Amache Boateng, now commissioning projects in the dying embers of an administration, like we've seen time without number. How relevant is that? Is it even important? Does it influence votes in any way?
I think it depends on the nature of the projects when it was started. It depends on the work of the particular government over the period that the government has been in office. Crucially, let's acknowledge the fact that development is a function of politics. So that the moment politics begin to translate into development, the moment politicians come to know that they must embark on development projects, otherwise they will not get the votes they need to hold on to, the whole country will be beginning to, take a new turn. So to me, time is not necessarily a factor. That's got to do with what the government of the day has been doing during the period that it had its mandate. And if particular projects have to be commissioned at a moment in time, why not? So that is not really the point. I mean, the character of the state vis-a-vis the use of the state's resources, to spare development, to bring change, qualitative change in the life of the people. If this is seen, people see this, I expect people to vote, in support of, good work done.
Thank you very much for discoursing with us, gentlemen. Dr. Amache Boateng is with the Political Science Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Dr. Ali Duseidu with the same department on the other side, the University of Ghana. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's time now for us to discourse on women, power, and politics. You look at our parliamentary landscape, very few women. Well, here is one of them, Tina Mensah. She's a deputy health minister. She also happens to be the member of parliament for Weija Gbawe. This is her interaction with my co-host, Mama V. Owusu Abwaji. Do enjoy.
mia me enti baby mia bia no medical terms no ebi wo ho a wo hwe apomuden e wo na bia me ka say we chapa we je one day lucky say you leaders ye cha ade no e wo so ho a wo de ye cha fa ebre ye.
Well, thank you for accepting us in your constituency. Maybe first of all, you should tell us a bit about this constituency.
Wejagbawe constituency first used to be the Weja constituency. It was 3 constituencies in one, that is the Anyasotum, Wejagbawe, and then English Amanfrom. And I think 2012 it was split into 3 constituencies because of the huge number of voters here. It was split with Anyasotum, English Amanfrom, and Axe. That is it. Those days you can hear the results of during elections, you can hear the result that comes out from Wejagbawe, a huge number of voters here. So it was split, and yet still, it's still huge, because recently I recorded a little to 111,000 here alone, and then that of English Amanfrom too. They are also around that. And also to is even more than what we had here, so you can see the huge number of people that were here before. So it was split, and then after it was also the municipality was under one, which was the Gasalt Assembly, and that was also split recently. And so we had Wejagbawe out of the Gasalt, which is made up of the the English Amanfro, which is making the Gasalt, and then Wejagbawe alone stands for the Wejagbawe Municipal Assembly. So here we are, mostly are people here. Some are technocrats, some are they are professionals. It depends on where you go to. You go to Makati, we have different people living out there. You go to Malam, and then Bawe Weja, we have different people. But mostly I can say traders. Traders. We have a lot of traders in this community or in this municipality.
So where does your constituency begin? If I am coming from Kaneshi, for instance.
When you are coming from Kaneshi, right, when you get to the Malam, after the Malam Market, the bridge, you can see the overhead. Yeah, behind the overhead, I think in front of the overhead, there is some sort of a land, that a space that you can see people selling gravels and those things under the bridge. It starts from there. So right through to the end of the Densu, that is getting to the toll booth. The toll booth of the Kaswa toll booth. You call it Kaswa, though after the toll booth it is so English Amanfrom, but in order for you to make it well, the toll booth, the first toll booth going to Kaswa, and then when you take it from the Malam area, it goes to share boundary somewhere with the Ablikuma North, and then somewhere with Anyaso Trum, and then somewhere with the Ga West people as well. On the Anyaso Trum side, it is the new Bawes, and then the Onyinasi area, and then somewhere CP area we share with Anyaso Trum people, and then Gonse. We have part of Gonse we sharing with the Anyaso Trum. Then from there you also hit Joma. There is a Joma.
Okay,
it's
that's
called
Joma.
The Joma area, that's also hit with the Gawes. So we share boundaries with a lot of, here we share with the English Amanfrom, another side we share with the Ablikuma North, and then the Gawes, and then
that's still very huge.
And then you go through Pambros. The Pambros area, there is a community, a whole community called Yabuman, that is between Pambros and the sea. Yeah, there is also part
of. So is that almost like Ablikuma West?
It's like Ablikuma West coming to the Griffey area, because we share that one too. We share with the Ablikuma West people, that side, that area of it. We also share with the Ablikuma West people. So it's a huge area. It's very huge. It's very huge. But we have a lot of challenges.
Yeah. Okay, so this constituency is an MPP stronghold.
Yes,
okay, but it's still a battle, because you first went through it in 2016. Tell us about that competition.
Oh, what I would say is that competition was even tougher than what we are in now. Because you could see two women coming up strongly to contest for one thing. And you know, when women are contesting, we contested with our soul, everything, we put our energies and everything in. And you could see what to go through it. So it was a contest, it was a real contest. But I think the better side came up. That is me. I came up with it. My opponent did what he could do. He did so well. And I appreciate what he did. Yes, of course. I appreciate what he did. He did. But I'm a forceful person to reckon with. That is why she couldn't have it at this time. This time, yeah, they have brought in another man. And then this is where my strength is, in the sense that even when I was coming in 2016, nobody knows me. I've not done any job here. I campaigned mostly on my predecessor or Kufuor, the President Kufuor's time, what we did and what. But that was what I campaigned on. But this time I could campaign on what I have done. And then the people have also seen me more than before, because I have been with them. We've moved together. I've been in their various communities, seeing me doing projects and all those things. So I think this time it gives me the more edge to contest for this. And people believe in women. The leadership of women are stronger. We get things better, things going than the men. So I believe even men, when you take a man, they like their mothers. They believe in their mothers, their sisters more than even themselves. So I think with all this factors, which is advantageous to me, I think
So how was Parliament in 2016 when you first entered as a woman?
Yes, Parliament is not easy, and it is a field that you go and learn. You see, most of the people out there, when you see Parliament is such an institution that everything is, programmed. You can't just enter into Parliament and then you go and sit down, you see debates and everything going on, and then you just jump into it. You must observe. They tell you sit down and observe. Unfortunately, what I always say is that first timers should be taken through trainings, building capacities so that they will know what to do. But here, they tell you sit down, observe, see what we do, and then, because you can't just get up. You get up on standing orders, and then the standing orders, you must be abreast with it. You must know what is it. There are all laws that you can't just get up and say, Mr. Speaker, I want to speak. You have to under which standing order are you getting up with. So you have to know all these things before you can. And some of the debates and those things, we have experts in those fields who also debate on it. But looking at events, looking at how things are going, then you also warm yourself into it, and then you start gradually. It's an interesting institution that when you enter first, it's like you don't know what you are doing. You don't know what is, because you see them debating and you think it's just a debate that anybody can just get up and debate like we debate in school or we debate. But no, we have the procedures and how we debate out there. But it's interesting when you go out there and you learn all those things, and then you can also join in. It's a nice thing.
I see you've enjoyed the 4 years. That's why you want 4 more.
It isn't that I have enjoyed it, and that's why I want 4 more. And it depends on what I have done for the people. I have a desire to serve the people, and I think I am doing it. And when I see that people are happy, I put smiles on people's face. I am happy to see that, and I know what I'm doing. I've been helping the people, and they are even urging me to do more for them. So by doing more, you need to ask for them to give you another mandate so that you can serve them. Yeah.
What are the challenges of this constituency? And you can take me back to 4 years ago when you wanted to compete, or when you became the candidate. And then we can talk about the road, where we are right now, because there's been a change.
We have a lot of challenges here. In fact, this is a developing area, and people are now coming up here. So the population, the movement of people in this constituency is so huge. And when people move out there, putting buildings up there, it should go with social amenities. So if that doesn't come as well, it puts pressure on the little that we have here, and then things are in a bad state. So when I took over in 2014 when I was campaigning, the things that they were asking me to do for them is our roads. They asked me to fix their roads for them. With drains, we have drains problems. You can see recently when it rained, You could see the flood that was here. We have that challenge, but I know little by little that challenge will be fixed, because you can't fix it in 1 day or 4 years. You can't fix it, but gradually we'll fix that challenge. We had that problem here, that torrential rains. When it rains, this place gets floods, and then our drains, our security, our roads, the main things are the drains, and then the roads. That's our main challenge. And also there are a few communities that we don't have government JSHS, that is the JHS schools.
Would you say your challenges are different from the men?
In parliament?
Yes, running as a parliamentarian.
I wouldn't say so, because anybody that passes out to be a parliamentarian, we all have to go through one chain, because it's almost, the competition is almost the same everywhere. So you must be prepared. Whether you are a female or you are a male, you must be prepared, and then you go through all the steps, and then you are there. So nobody's giving anybody chance, like because you are a male or you are a female, you should have this chance, and then you get up there. We have to start from the scratch, where we should be going through primaries, and after primaries you go through elections again, and then to parliament. But when we see ourselves in parliament, then we know, yes, we have all come from far. So we respect each and every one in parliament. Yes, that's it.
So you don't think there should be any preference, just so we can get a lot more women there?
Yes, many believe. Yeah.
Is there a difference if the leader is a woman?
I don't see it like that.
Okay.
I don't see it like that, because it's the same work that both of them are doing. And it's the same standing orders that we are using in parliament. So I wouldn't see the risk. There are standing orders for women, and there are different standing orders for men. It is the same standing order that we all use in parliament. So it doesn't matter whether you are a female or male. It's the same channel that you go through.
Okay.
So, and for me, I believe in competition. For me, I believe in competition. Yes, we have tried in many ways to get certain new ways for women so that we can enter. Maybe where women are contesting, women should contest women, or women should be given some preference so that we'll
get the filing fee.
Yes, it's been done to us. Yeah, but I think that is not enough. But notwithstanding that, I believe in the competition, that I want to go through the competition so that I'll be respected from where I'm coming from. That is all that I believe in. Like now I'm contesting with a male. I wouldn't say because I am a female I'll go and contest, I'll go and campaign like because I am a female. Vote for me. Yes, but we have our features, we have different features that I will have to hammer on it. It's like I'm a female, I know what my children will eat, I know the problems of my children, so vote for me on that aspect. We are best money keepers, we are managers at home and those kind of things. I will tell the electorate to vote for me, but I wouldn't tell the electorate to vote for me because I am a female. Even if I'm incompetent, vote for me because I am a female. No. I'll let them assess both of us and then we vote for each other. So I believe in that.
But you only want to serve 2 terms. Why?
Yes, I asked the people for them. It's not an easy job. Being an MP is not an easy job. I think even when I started the first time, you could see people even planning to push you out there. Right from the day that you even won the election, there will be people planning how to push you out there. But because it is my desire to serve the people, I am thinking when I serve the people for 2 terms, I would be able, like I'm saying, this project is a legacy that I will be leaving. So I've seen people who have gone to parliament, they've gone out of parliament, the people have brought them back to parliament again. So I believe in that. If I go out and then the people, they see that yes, they've tried others, and then they say, oh no, this lady did so much for us than others, and then no, let's go to her, and then perhaps because of her lobbying skills and because of the way we related to her, we were privileged of certain things and we have to bring her back, then fine, I will be there. But just to force myself on the people, I don't want to do it. I don't want to force myself on the people. I just want to give chance to others to come in so that we weigh each and every one, and then we do it. So I don't think I'll be missing anything. Of course, the president himself will have 2 terms. Yes, so if I want to go 2 term, I'll go 2 term, and then, but I'm still in the party. I can hold ministerial positions, but not as a parliamentarian to force myself on people. Because when immediately you become an MP, or you are aspiring to be an MP, different impression that people have about you. Yes, sir. So I don't like that image. I don't like that impression. I've built my reputation so hard in the hard way for so many years, and I don't want anybody to have anything negative about me that will tarnish that reputation. Yeah.
What's the vision if you're given the nod again for another 4 years? What will
we have a lot of we have a lot of things to do here. We want to change the face of Wejagbawe, and we have a lot of things. We have started so many projects that we are doing. I don't think we'll be able to complete all before the elections, but we know when we're given the chance, we will be able to complete those ones, and those ones also those on the table that we need to tackle, especially our roads. We need more roads, we need more drains, and we have not been able to get to certain areas to do it. So as we move on, then we will be able to tackle other areas as well, and then we do a lot for the people.
Land litigation also in your constituency?
There are, that is a major challenge in this constituency, but we try as much as possible to manage it, especially myself, the MC. We are always sitting on land issues, but we try as much as possible to bring tension down, in the sense that, for instance, but you see, well, there is one peculiar thing about this constituency. We have 2 main, we have different traditional areas. There is these 2 main, that is Weja and Bawe. That is where we have the majority split. And but at functions, you can see them sitting together, you can see them talking, you can see them everything. So when there's a tension and people say there is tension between Weja and Bawe, at times I do wonder, because we do things, we call both of them, they come, they respond so nicely, and you can see them chatting with each other. So I am thinking all these tensions and land issues that comes out of this place is through the youth. I think it is not the traditional leader themselves, but it is the youth who don't understand certain things, and they try to bring that tension down. But we're trying to calm this. Since we came, there has not been any major uproar in this constituency.
Great.
So we thank the Almighty God for it.
So as we come down to December 7th, I want you to give our viewers a peace message, those in your constituency and everywhere else. We want to come out of this election as one people.
We urge the youth that as we move on to December 7th, we don't want anything that will tarnish the image of the constituency or Ghana as a whole. We are begging on them, we are pleading on them that they should desist from riots, they should desist from things that will not augur well for the peace of this nation. And then all that I would say also in Wejagbawe is that I'm begging them they should stay free from violence. We don't want it. I always say, when you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. So I will not do anything to tarnish the peace in this constituency, since the constituency belongs to MPP. If I do anything, then it will rather go against my party and me as a person. But then we wouldn't do anything that will bring riots or anything that will forestall the peace in this constituency. So I urge my counterparts and all other people in the constituency that we should stay free from trouble, we should stay away from riots and all violent things that will not bring peace to Ghanaians.
Wish you well with the upcoming contests.
Thank you very much, my dear.
Good morning. You're welcome to the Showbiz segment right here on the AM show. My name is Kadi Asawa. Now, the government says it will, before the end of this year, launch the Creative Arts and Industry Insurance Scheme. Now, this is according to the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. Now, speaking at the Meet the Press series in Accra, she indicated that the initiative is to provide support for the industry players in case of crisis.
Despite the enormous contribution of the creative industry to the Ghanaian economy, players in the industry seem not to be well catered for, as reflected by the sad state of aged Ghanaian artists who very often have to make public appeals for financial and material support during when confronted with difficult situations in their old age. Currently, most creative arts practitioners are not covered by any risk mitigation measures during critical times such as injury, ill health, or old age, and during loss of production equipment due to certain circumstances of when accidents occur. This is partly due to the fact that artists are not salaried workers, but rather ply their trade mostly on a contractual and seasonal basis. Against this backdrop, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture is spearheading the development and introduction of a creative arts insurance scheme for the creative industry. Beneficiaries of the scheme shall be members of the creative industry who are registered with the ministry and its agencies. The Creative Arts Insurance Scheme is intended to achieve the following: to provide an insurance scheme appropriately tailored to the needs of creative artists and performers in the creative arts industry, provide life insurance or similar investment products for creative arts sector players, and also provide bespoke creative arts industry insurance products and cover for personal injury, damage, and theft.
Meanwhile, she noted the ministry is working to secure funding from government to take over payment of the first-year contribution of registered members due to the impact of COVID-19.
We are also undertaking assessments to ensure that the government can take over payments of the first-year insurance premium to allow adequate time for our practitioners to work for at least 1 year and then take over the payment of premium going forward. Because we recognize that the industry has been negatively impacted by COVID-19 and most of our practitioners have not worked during this period. So this is a support that the government is going to extend to industry players by taking up the first year payment of premium.